Hello everyone and welcome to my Rest and Release Restorative Yoga class. Restorative yoga is one of my favorite styles of practice because it truly is accessible for pretty much everybody. It's perfect for people who like more vinyasa, sweaty styles of yoga when they need to counter that, balance that, and take a break and slow down. It's perfect for people who are recovering from injuries, from people who just need a mental break. And it's just a really powerful introspective practice where we're supported so much that we're able to let go, hopefully letting go of tension physically, and hopefully that translates into letting go of some tension mentally as well. Restorative yoga is very prop heavy, so I recommend at a minimum having a yoga block or a stack of books or something that can act as a block, a bolster or a couple of pillows instead, firm pillows if you have them, and a blanket. You can never have enough blankets in restorative, in my opinion, so I only have one, but I recommend having 2, 3, maybe even 4 blankets so you can really get under everywhere you need to support and maybe even cover up with it as well. I also recommend, if you have one, using an eye pillow, and if you don't, getting a rag, a folded up small blanket or towel, or just a sleeve of a sweatshirt or something could do the same thing. But an eye pillow, if you have it, is the best since they're a little weighted. When you are ready, we're going to get started, and we're going to get started in legs up the wall, Viparita Karani. So for that, if you don't have a wall, you can use the back of a chair or a couch even. I've seen people do legs up the fridge before as well. But you'll sit facing the side with the wall to your side, doesn't matter which. You'll have a blanket off to the side that you can use for the back of the head. And then you'll go ahead and lie down and swing your legs on up. They do not have to be perfectly straight whatsoever. And then I like to take my blanket and just roll ever so slightly the bottom edge of it just to fill in the gap of the neck. It's not necessarily elevating the head and neck at all, just filling in that little gap. You can also put a rolled up blanket or a small bolster or a soft block underneath of the sacrum and low back if you need. And then you want to grab your eye pillow or whatever you're using to place over top of the eyes. Especially if you're practicing somewhere that's very well lit. And really give yourself the time as you come into this first pose to really set your space if you haven't already. So maybe there's certain smells that help you relax, incense, candles, essential oils. Maybe there's certain sounds that help you relax and you play those, like nature sounds, classical music, whatever the case may be. For each person it's different. And as you settle into this first pose, creating the space that helps you relax and let go the most. And supporting your body physically so that you're able to let go and be supported the most. Allowing the eyes to close and the body to settle into a still place once you're ready. Resisting the urge to move as much as you can, so that you can really just allow every muscle in the body to stop working so hard, and to just soften and let go. We spend our whole day, our whole lives holding ourselves up. And it's not very often that we take the time to consciously and mindfully relax. In this first posture, we'll go through a relaxation exercise, visualization exercise. And so once you're in that most comfortable and supported space, where you can be still, where you can let go, with the eyes closed, imagine that there is a pure white light right in the center of the eyebrows, center of the forehead, a space sometimes referred to as the third eye. And everywhere that we imagine this white light going, it brings with it the ability to relax and let go. and brings with it a sense of awareness, but also a sense of softening. And so here, with our focus at the third eye, feeling the forehead soften, the muscles of the face, and then taking that light and that awareness down to the center of the throat, feeling the neck, the throat, the mouth, the jaw relax. And then to the center of the heart, feeling the chest relax, the rib cage, and going over to the right side of the chest, to the right shoulder, down the right upper arm and bicep to the right elbow, down the right forearm to the right wrist, across the palm of the hand, the back of the right hand, into all 5 of the right fingers and fingertips, feeling that the entire right side of the upper body is heavy, is relaxed, is covered in that light. And maintaining that even as you take your awareness out of the right fingers and fingertips, returning to the right wrist, going up the right forearm back to the elbow, up the right bicep and upper arm to the right shoulder, to the right side of the chest, back to the center of the chest, the heart center, to the left side of the chest, to the left shoulder, down the left bicep and upper arm to the left elbow, down the left forearm to your left wrist, across the palm of the hand, the back of the left hand, into all 5 of the left fingers and fingertips, feeling that the entire left side of the upper body, and that the entire upper body as a whole, is soft, is heavy, is covered in that white light, and yet you're still aware, it's still present. Maintaining that as you come out of the left fingers and fingertips, back to the left wrist, back up the left forearm to the left elbow, back up the left bicep and upper arm into the left shoulder, to the left side of the chest, returning to the center of the chest, the heart center. And this time going further down to the center of the belly, the center of the navel, feeling the core of the body soften and relax. And going down further still to the center of the hips, center of the pelvis, and over to the right hip, down the right thigh to the right knee, down the right shin and right calf to the right ankle, across the top of the right foot, the sole of the right foot, into all 5 of the right toes and tips of the toes. Feeling that the entire right side of the lower body, that the entire right side of the body as a whole, is heavy and soft, is aware and heavy, and maintaining that as best as you can as you come out of the right toes and tips of the toes, cross the right foot into the right ankle, back up the right shin and calf to the right knee, back up the right thigh to the right hip, and back to the center of the hips, the center of the pelvis, over to the left hip, down the left thigh, the left hamstring into your left knee, down the left shin and left calf into your left ankle, across the top of the foot and sole of the left foot, into all 5 of the left toes and tips of the toes. Feeling that the entire left side of the body and the entire lower body are all heavy, soft, aware, light. Maintaining that as you come out of the left tips of the toes, back across the left foot into your left ankle, back up the left shin and calf into your left knee, back up the left thigh and hamstring to your left hip, to the center of the hips, returning back to the center of the belly and back to the center of the heart, to the center of the throat, to the third eye, the center of the forehead. And then bringing that light, that awareness, that softening to the very topmost part of the head, the crown of the head. And for a moment, feel the entire body all at once. Be aware of it, and yet also soften and relax it. Let it go. Let go of any holding, any forcing, any gripping, as best as you can. Knowing that this ability to be aware and soft, it's always with you. That we can carry this sensation with us into all of the restorative postures we find today. And with this sense of presence and softness, gently bring into the forefront of your mind an intention for you for this practice. Whatever it is that you need it to be. Whether it be something physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Bring it to the forefront of your mind, hold it close. And together we seal those intentions into this practice by taking a deep breath in through the nose and a long sigh through the mouth. Another deep inhale. Sigh it out. From here, just take 5 or so more breaths. Once again, take another deep breath in. Let it go. And from here, gently wiggle the fingers and toes. Reach the arms overhead, stretching from the fingers to the toes. And if you can, start to slide the heels down the wall, maybe hugging the knees into the chest, gently rocking side to side. Maybe circling the knees in clockwise and counterclockwise, just massaging the low back into the mat beneath you. And then from here, gently roll off to one side, doesn't matter which. And just pause there for a moment. Take a breath. Good. And from here, you'll gently press yourself up onto hands and knees. setting up for our restorative child's pose. So you'll take your blanket, if you only have one, and you'll unwrap it again to make a nice big rectangle. This is for your knees. And you'll need your block or your stack of books, whatever you're using, and your bolster. Now here, typically in restorative child's pose, it typically feels a little better to have some space between the knees. However wide apart you want to do that is up to you. And then I like to take a block underneath the far end of my bolster, with my bolster a little bit in between the thighs, not quite all the way. Now what you might also want to do is, if it's uncomfortable for you to bend your knees deeply, you might put a little rolled up towel underneath of each knee, or a blanket underneath of both at the same time. But then once you are ready, you'll go ahead and you'll come down. And I like to have the block underneath of the bolster. You can also have the bolster flat on the mat. But what's nice about having the block underneath is you can give that bolster a hug, wrapping the arms under, turning your face to whichever side is better for you. We will do both sides. I'll let you know when to switch. Ever so slightly tucking the chin towards the chest so the back of the neck can lengthen and release. Making any movements, any adjustments, any support with props that you might have. Maybe you cover yourself up with a blanket here. And once you're ready, allow the eyes to close. Allow the body to settle. And begin to tap into whatever it is that keeps your mind present. If you're playing music, perhaps that's noticing the changes and movement of music. Maybe it's noticing the changes and movement in your breath as they happen, as it comes and goes. Perhaps it's repeating your intention or a mantra that keeps you present. But whatever it is, beginning to tap into that here as you soften, as you let go. Being present doesn't mean that we don't have thoughts. We always have thoughts. But rather it just means that we don't attach to them too much. So here in the stillness of these postures, can you allow yourself just to be an observer of the thoughts? Noticing them as they come and they go, like you watch clouds in the sky. Without attaching to them or letting them affect you. Just noticing them as they are and letting them go. Breathe wherever you are. Notice how it feels to just breathe and be. How it feels to let go. Take 15 breaths with your head turned to this side. Feeling the back body gently rise and fall as the breath fills and empties the body. Couple more. Breath in. Sigh it out. Without opening your eyes or disturbing the stillness that you've created for yourself as much as possible, just gently begin to pick your head up and turn it to the other side. Giving yourself and your neck a moment to settle. Coming back to whatever keeps you present. And also acknowledging if being still and present is challenging for you. We often think that because restorative is so simple and so accessible that means it's easy. And although physically we create a lot of ease in restorative, the ability to be present with our body, with our thoughts, and to be still doesn't come easily for many of us. And so giving yourself a sense of grace and understanding if it's challenging for you, knowing that it's challenging for many, and that with practice, just as we become physically stronger with practice, or maybe the body becomes more flexible with practice, it also becomes easier to be still and present and to let go of the body with practice. Notice if you started to unintentionally bring in any sense of holding, gripping, doing. And as much as possible, allow yourself to let go of those things.
Take 15 more breaths here. Take a few more breaths. As you're ready, take a deep breath in through the nose. Gently sigh it out. Very slowly and mindfully start to rise up off of your support, coming back to hands and knees. And here, as you inhale, just drop the belly, lift the heart, finding cow. And as you exhale, round the spine to cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. One more. Inhale and exhale. And now here we're going to set up for a restorative fish pose. So you'll need your blanket and your bolster and your eye pillow. And so here you'll take your blanket, you'll fold it in half again to make that head pillow. That'll go at the very back of your mat. And then you're going to use a small bolster for across your shoulder blades. Now, if you have a big bolster, that might be too much height for you, in which case you would take another blanket and you would just fold it a few times to make a similar little roll. It doesn't have to be big. In fact, you might find that a bolster is too much and you have to do that anyway. But ideally, this bolster, as we go to lay down, is going to come right across the base of the tips of our shoulder blades. If you're a bra wearing individual, it is right where the bottom horizontal strap of your bra would be, just about. You'll let that elevate and lift the chest. The legs can come into whatever shape you want. I'm making that little roll for underneath of my neck again. Eye pillow over the eyes. Make any adjustments that you need. Perhaps it feels better for you to have the legs extended out. Maybe you prefer to have the knees bent and knocked together to touch, or the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide. Although I will tell you that we are going to do that shape in the next posture, so you might not want to do it unless you don't mind doing it for a second time as well. And the arms can come wherever they're most comfortable, whether that's out by the sides, overhead, on the belly. And make your adjustments. And really make sure that the bolster underneath of your chest is the right size for you. If you lift up too much, you might find that it's uncomfortable and it's difficult to become still and to let go into. We don't want to make this posture a yin posture where there's opening and sensation. We want to make it a truly restorative posture where we're comfortable and able to let go of the body, creating as little sensation as possible through that support and comfort. And return to your breath. Return to whatever it is that keeps your mind steady and present. And know that no matter how hard you try, the mind will wander off at some points. And you just give yourself a little kindness and understanding as you bring it back. Restorative is a practice that's gentle and kind to our body. And so allow that to inspire you to be gentle and kind to yourself. Scan through and notice if you brought in any holding, any tensing. If there's anywhere that you can let go of that you're holding on to or gripping. Watch the thoughts as they pass by. Watch your breath as it comes and goes. Not a forceful in and out breath like we would find in a vinyasa class, but a gentle, natural cadence and rhythm. Take 27 more breaths here. If you lose count, just start over. Take 10 more. Gently take a deep breath in. A long sigh out. And whichever way is best and easiest for you, begin to gently make your way back up to seated off of your props. And as you come to seated, go ahead and cross at the ankles, finding Sukhasana. You'll take the hands to the shins. As you inhale, draw the heart forward, the shoulders back, finding a seated cow. As you exhale, round the spine, drop the chin towards the chest, finding a seated cat. Inhale. Exhale. And if you ended up doing more of a yin fish pose by accident, then your back might feel a little sensitive here. If so, just gently, slowly move through your cat-cow to help undo some of that tension and to let the body settle. Take a couple more. Good. Now here we're going to come into a supported bound angle pose. You'll go ahead and put a block near the top of your mat, and the bolster will be supported by it. You can make this lift as high or as low as you want. You can even forget about the block altogether and just have the bolster flat or lay flat on the mat. And now for your blanket, you want to unroll it enough, and if you're not using a traditional yoga blanket, then you might have to play around with this a little bit with whatever blanket you're using. But I essentially just fold my blanket in half once, that it's a pretty big rectangle. And then you're going to make a really nice tight roll here with the blanket. So it'll be a really long, tight roll. Good. And then here what you'll do is you will take the soles of your feet together, and you'll take the middle of that roll right on top of the feet, and then you'll wrap it around, kind of wiggling it so it's under the thighs and slightly underneath of your hips. Now you might find that especially if your hips are on the tighter side, that's fine. You might do this and then also put blocks or more blankets or pillows even underneath of the thighs so that they can be as lifted and as supported as you need them to be. Again, this isn't a yin posture, so we don't force ourselves to sit with discomfort or sensation. We want to let there be a lack of sensation because we're so supported. So give yourself time and space to find support. And once you have it, you'll lay down on the bolster. If you have an extra blanket handy, you can even put that blanket on at the end of the bolster to make that little neck roll like we've been doing. It can be nice. If you have an eye pillow, it'll go back over the eyes. And take your time to settle in and to find whatever place is most comfortable for the arms. Allow the eyes to close. That's what can be so nice about the eye pillow, is the extra little weight really allows it to be much easier to relax the face and to keep the eyes closed without trying. In addition, the weight adds a little bit of pressure to our vagal nerve, or vagus nerve. It's in the very back of the eyes. And just that little bit of pressure on that nerve can also help elicit a sense of relaxation in the body. So if you don't have an eye pillow and you're using a folded up towel or washcloth or something, you might find that it's even more relaxing if you stack a few to add a little bit of gentle weight. Find stillness. Find softness. Find your natural rhythm of breath. No forcing. No doing. Just surrendering and allowing. unlike the physical challenge of other styles of yoga. Our challenge in restorative is how still can we become? How soft can we become? How much can you let go? What can you set down that you're holding on to? How much ease can you cultivate in the body, in the breath, in the mind? And how present can you be for yourself in that? Continue to come back gently and with understanding when the mind wanders off. Take 27 more breaths here. How much can you soften? How still can you become? How much can you let go? physically, mentally, emotionally. How much can you surrender? How supported can you allow yourself to be? Taking slow, soft, natural breaths. Perhaps even noticing the moment where your breath turns around. Where the very top of your inhale starts to fall and turn, becoming your exhale. The very bottom of your exhale where the breath starts to turn and rise to become your next inhale. Take 10 more. Take a deep breath in. A long, steady breath out. And now here, before we begin to move, the next posture that we're coming into is Shavasana. And it's yogi's choice, whichever would be the most supportive, comfortable place for you to be right now is where you should go. For you, that might be staying exactly where you are for a little while longer. Maybe you wish to come into a posture we already did or one we haven't done. Or maybe just a traditional Shavasana, long and flat with no props. But as you're ready, begin, if you're moving out of that shape, to gently lift up. Where I am taking Shavasana is I am unwrapping my blanket and then folding it in half and in half again to make that shorter rectangle. I'm going to use my bolster for behind the backs of my thighs. The blanket folded in half for the back of my head and neck. Again, just a small, gentle, subtle roll to fill in that gap. We're not trying to elevate the head and neck up and create tension there. If you have another blanket to cover the body with, you might choose to do so, or an eye pillow. Maybe you put your legs back up the wall, but in another shape, or up the chair, or the fridge. But whatever would be the most comfortable and comforting for you, finding that place. Returning to that sensation we found in the very beginning of practice. A place where we can be fully aware of the body and fully let it go. With nowhere to go, nothing to do but to just be still and be here. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Taking your deepest breath in so far. Your longest, slowest, softest breath out. Reaching your arms overhead if you can, stretching from fingers to toes. And then gently drawing the knees in if you can, rolling off to whichever side feels most inviting for you. And as you come onto your side, allowing your top hand to rest at your heart. And taking a moment with the hand on the heart to find a sense of gratitude. And gratitude towards yourself most of all, for making the time out of this day to practice and to slow down, to let go, to breathe. Knowing that that alone is always enough. And thanking yourself for that. And with that hand gently pressing yourself up to seated, bringing the hands together at the heart as you do. And I just wanted to extend my own gratitude towards you, whoever you are, wherever you are, for sharing this time and this practice with me. And I hope that you can carry any benefits you may have with you for however long you may need them, until I see you on your mat again.